Now this is the Mandala Healing Oracle, Journey to Your Heart by Denise Jarve, I believe it's pronounced, and artwork by Lindy Longhurst, who is also, as I said earlier here, the person who did the artwork for these cards here. So I definitely like this style. This one comes with a guidebook, which is quite comprehensive. It gives you a picture of each of the cards, and then it gives you a message, and it gives you a healing reflection and a journal prompt. And I just love the journal prompts. I really like them, and because of the journal prompts, I tend to use these a lot for journaling and contemplation and meditation. I just really love it. So these are the cards. Now, as you can see, the backs of them are all the same, which is great. Now, these are round cards. Again, they're big. I have little hands. I struggle to hold the cards because they are so wide. When I'm shuffling them, if I get down to the last few, they kind of bend because they're quite big for my hands. So I find these really hard to shuffle and to use. I can do it, but not very successfully and not very comfortably. They are a deck because the backs are all the same. Often I will just go like this and I will pull out a card. Whoops, got two here. It has a number and a word, self-respect on this one and smile on this one. And as you can see, each of the cards are very beautiful, and the imagery is really in depth, and the symbolism within them is incredible within each mandala. It really is beautiful. So I often like to pull these and contemplate on the word and what I get out of the symbolism within the pictures, and I will journal about that before I will read the message in the guidebook, and then potentially journal with the journal question that is in there. But these are very beautiful. They're also a deck that I bought predominantly to use in my women's circle, so that we had really pretty cards to work with. And they're not your usual kind of oracle cards, so they're not as confrontational for some people who come to Women's Circle and haven't used oracle cards before. So, very beautiful deck. So this is the Goddess Inspiration Oracle by Chris Waldher, the creator of the Goddess Tarot, which is one that I don't actually have actually. So this is the book that comes with it. So it has a picture of the card, and it has the main words for the card, and then it has the meaning of the card, which is really good. This deck is when was this deck? This deck is a 2007 deck. So again, had this for quite some time. Comes in this beautiful bag here, which is lovely. The cards are very much, it is an oracle, but the cards are very much a tarot style card. They are tall and slim. This is the back of the cards, as you can see. The picture, they're all the same. And then these are the front of the cards. Now again, this is when I was going through my goddess stage, and as you can see, this style is very much a 2000s style kind of card. It's interesting when I look through my collection, often I can tell when a card was made by the style that it's created in, but these are what the cards look like. As you can see, to me they're quite dark. Even the more lighter pictures on the cards are quite dark. So it's a deck that certainly has me looking more inwards than outwards. But again, it's a deck I used to use quite a lot when I first got it. I was really into the goddesses, as I said, but it's one that I don't tend to use as often anymore. And I probably haven't used this one in quite a number of years, if I'm honest. It's just been sitting on my shelf. Yeah, but that's that deck. This is actually one of the few Llewellyn decks that I own. In my collection. I don't have many of them So the next one I have is Spirit Warrior, Embrace Ancient Ways to Discover Your Power, 50 Oracle cards. Now, I bought this out of Kmart. It's not your usual place that you would find cards to buy, but they've started, when things become popular and, you know, in the everyday, that's when you tend to see these kind of things popping up in places like Kmart. So we've seen an influx of this kind of thing. I've had a few from Kmart and I'm not sure of the value of them, to be honest. They look really great, but they call themselves Oracle cards. But my way of working with Oracle, they just don't seem to fit my style of what I anticipate or expect with an Oracle card. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I think they should be called something else personally. But these are the Spirit Warrior Oracle. As you can see, whoops, they have a different picture on each side throughout the deck, and then they have a lot of information on the other side. So it doesn't come with a guidebook, which is fine, but they just don't appear to me to be Oracle kind of messages. So this one here reads Namaste. With hands in prayer, Namaste allows for an energetic union of souls. In Hindu culture, Namaste is a term of respect used to greet an elder. That makes sense. It literally translates as greetings to you. But as it's worked its way into yoga studios across the globe, the meaning has changed to something like I bow to you. When we say Namaste at the beginning or end of a yoga class, we mean to express respect for each other and the tradition of yoga, and to acknowledge the soul connection between human beings and with the universe, the oneness which is yoga's ultimate destination. Used with sincerity, Namaste helps us connect to the divine spark within. And just as another, to me they're more information kind of cards rather than Oracle cards. They just don't work for me as Oracle cards, but I do enjoy the information that they share. I just would never use it as an Oracle personally. So Tibetan singing bowl, if it's a brainwave you're after, here's one, the healing power of sound. What frequency are you on? We live in beta 1440 Hertz most of the time. That's a thinking state, which when overworked equals anxiety. In alpha, the 7.5 to 14 Hertz, we're relaxed and in flow. In theta, the 4 to 7.5 Hertz, we're balanced and connected with the earth. Any higher than that and you're either asleep or the Dalai Lama. Singing bowls vibrate at high frequencies, setting the scene you need for deep relaxation and decreased anxiety. The brain learns to adjust its electrical frequencies each time you practice meditation, giving you access to greater peace, so keep practicing. So they don't, yeah, to me it's definitely not an oracle in the way that we would be used to them, but it is a deck that I like having in my collection. I just don't use it as I initially thought I would. So this is the Daily Tarot, 78 cards with affirmations to encourage and inspire. Again, this is one that I got at Kmart. It was $10 Australian, which is nothing. It's really simple. So it is a tarot deck and it has these gorgeous colours. So on, whoops, they're the information cards. On one side, it has this almost salmon-y brown, earthy tone. And on the other side, it has this deep foresty green kind of colour to it. And I really like the energy that comes from this deck and the grounded earthy energy that comes from it with these colours. It really, I love it, to be personally honest. So it is a daily tarot with affirmations to encourage and inspire. So each card, so this is the King of Swords. I always operate from a place of clarity and truth. The Ace of Swords, my path is clear and I have everything I need to walk in my truth. This one is the Queen of Wands. I am powerfully creative. This is the Queen of Cups. I trust my inner voice and treat myself with compassion. And this one here is the Magician. I have the power to make my dreams come true. Now, what I really like about this is I use it as a daily card pull, basically. I don't really use it for reading as I would a tarot deck, but I do use it for a daily card pull, and I love the affirmations that it gives. And I do enjoy this deck. To me, it's a simple deck, and I use it in that manner. This is another deck that I have, and I think I've done a full video on this. This is the Angel Oracle, Working with the Angels for Guidance, Inspiration and Love by Embika Waters. Now, angels are something that I have a massive amount of decks on, and we will see them as I go through the collection. And you'll be able to see the different ones that I have. They're just something that I really gravitated to, and I still actually enjoy working with the angels. They're something that I probably have continued with over the years continuously, which is great. So this is the book. It is hardcover. It has lots of information on each of the cards, which is really great. And these are the cards themselves. Get them out. They're huge. They're quite big, and they're really beautiful. I love the colouring. Again, it's just something that really, the gold and everything just feels really angelic. It feels really lovely. So these have a word at the top. This says the Angel of Knowing, and it says my sense of inner knowing leads me to the light. When we look at some others, the Angel of Mercy, Divine Mercy gives me the grace to be tender and accepting. This is the Angel of Trust. I trust in the divine power of goodness and love to protect and guide me. And this one's upside down. This one reads, the Angel Prince of the North. I celebrate my uniqueness with joy and gratitude. Now, this was published in, where are we? This was published in 1995. So this is another deck that I have in my collection. These are a Soul Seeker 100 Questions for Deeper Connection. Now, there's 52 cards in here, and even though this isn't an oracle or a tarot deck, it is one that I use in a very similar way. So I use these alongside my oracle or tarot decks. So I'll just open it up, and so each side has a different question in here. So it is one that I tend to not look at again when I'm using it, so that I don't influence the message that I am getting within these cards. But I will often shuffle this deck, and without looking, I will pull a card and see what the message, the question asks. So this one says, what is happiness? So I will journal with this card to be able to intuit a message that comes through around that. But I might also choose a deck of cards. I'll just pull this one from next to me. I might also pull a deck of cards, and I would pull a card from a different deck to go along with what is happiness, for instance. And here we might have, I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and to commit to joy and love. And I would then journal around, how does that fit with what happiness is for me? How does that impact it? How can it influence it? How might that be a foundation to what is happiness? How does that make me look at things differently? And what does that bring up for me? So even though this isn't an oracle deck, it is one that I use alongside my oracle cards quite often. It's a really great way for me to get guidance and insight from my cards without actually having to think of a question. The universe gives the question to me. And I really do enjoy this this deck. So also in my collection, I have The Seasons of the Witch, the Beltane Oracle by Lorianne Anderson and Juliette Diaz, and illustrated by Gita Rose, I believe it's pronounced. This is a beautiful deck. It's produced by Rockpool Publishing. The guidebook is in full colour. The information with each card is really great. A lot of information there. These cards are just beautiful. And I love the style, I love them. There's just something about them. Working with the Wheel of the Year, I love these cards. I love that they're Beltane Oracle, and I pull them out at the right time and use them. They can be used at any time of the year, but because I have so many decks, I tend to stick with using them around the time that they are designed around, and they are just absolutely beautiful. Lots of real information in here. Beautiful. I love Giddy Rose's artwork. It really appeals to me. So I also have the deck. So there's more than being based on the Wheel of the Year. Obviously, Beltane's not the only celebration in the year. So the Seasons of the Witch also have the Yule Oracle at this point in time. This again has a beautiful guidebook. It's lovely. Green is the colour for Yule. So the box is green and the sides of the cards are green. I don't know if you actually noticed, but in the Beltane ones, can't open it. In the Beltane ones, the colouring was more this yellowish kind of colour with the gold edging and the yellow within it. And these are the Yule cards, and they're based around the festival of Yule. This is actually my favourite card, this one, Gratitude. I just absolutely love it. All that I am and all that I'll be, forever in gratitude, I'll eternally be. I just love this card. And as you can see, the artwork is very similar. It's done by the same artist, and it's just really beautiful. So I have 3 of the Seasons of the Witch decks at this point in time. There are 3 of them that have been created. I believe the rest of the Wheel of the Year will get its own deck as time continues. But this Yule one is my favourite out of the 3 that I have so far. It's just really, really beautiful. Love to use it. And again, you can use it at any time of the year, but I choose to use it at Yule. It's just what makes it special for me. So the third deck that I had, as I said, in this collection is the Seasons of the Witch, the Samhain Oracle. This is a very beautiful deck. Again, it has the red colour. So they're all very similar, but they have the slight detour in colours and things. This is a really, really thick guidebook. It's incredible. But again, it's all in colour. Really great. I use this around Samhain, Halloween, as you guys call it, being in the Southern Hemisphere. It's at a different time of year for me than it is for you guys over in the Northern Hemisphere. But beautiful cards. They're really, really lovely. And one thing I have done is I have actually used some of the decks together. So I've put them together and used them at the one time to be able to do a reading. But I do favour using them at the Wheel of the Year timing. Now this one here is actually a tarot deck. It's the Dark Mansion Tarot by Taroteca Studio. It's 78 beautifully illustrated cards in easy to use size, and they're printed on high quality laminated matte paper. Now this, I love this deck. I just adore this deck. I love the backs of the deck. I love the feel of the deck. It's just really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. It's a really lovely one. I love the fact that it's got the black edging on it. And yeah, and this is what the actual deck here looks like. Even though it's a darker deck that has me feeling really introspective and is a deck that I tend to use for shadow work more than anything else, it still has that bright and colourful appeal to it, but it still has a deeper depth to it, I think. I think the dark colour just gives it a deeper depth, but I really love it. It is a deck that I purely use for shadow work. I don't use it for anything else at this point in time, but that may change, which does change with my decks. I favour them for different things, but right now this is one that I love using for shadow work. I think that the feel and the energy of the deck just really leans towards that, which is great. So that's the Dark Mansion Tarot. The next deck I have is a new deck that I've recently got by Taroteka Studios as well. It's the Slavic Legends Tarot. Now I was really excited about this because it opens like a book. It looks like a book, which I think is really lovely. It looks like a book. And again, it's beautiful backs to them. Absolutely beautiful. It's the dark black color, which is what I chose. I really like that. And these are the cards. They are incredible. Now, what really appeals to me about these cards is that my children and my husband's heritage is Slavic, which is one of the reasons why this just appeals to me so much. I mean, the costumes here, they're very much like the traditional costumes that are worn by many Slavic regions. The stories are portrayed in here of the legends, and it really is beautiful. It definitely has that Slavic feel, which is what it says, and it just appeals to me personally. I just love it. Being new, I haven't actually used this deck for anything, but being a darker deck, I think that I will definitely use it for my shadow work. Definitely use it in readings, and it's so beautiful. I'll probably put them up on my altar choose a card and put it up on my altar with the message that is there. But it just really appeals to me, and it's really gorgeous, and it just feels like home. Even though I'm not Slavic, the fact that my family is connected to that and everything just really appeals to me. So another gorgeous deck. So the next one I have is Wild Wisdom Australia, Karen Roberts and Bonnie Hughes. This is just gorgeous. It's really colourful. It's very bright. It's very Australian in its look and feel. The guidebook is really great. I think it gives you enough information for what you need, and I just love the backs. To me, I could look at the backs all day. If I could have it as a artwork and put it up on my wall, I definitely would. And these are what the fronts look like. I love that the theme of the different coloured foliage comes over onto the front side. So here we have the platypus, we have the open tree frog, the tawny frogmouth, the humpback whale, the Christmas beetle, frilled neck lizard, the brown snake, greater bilby, the butterfly, the quokka, always a happy little guy, the quokka, the magpie, the dingo, blue-ringed octopus, rainbow lorikeet, little penguin, pelican, possum, redback spider, seen lots of them in my day, black cockatoo, blue-banded bee, yellow-footed rock wallaby, wedge-tail eagle, and the kingfisher. And there's other ones in here. Now, I just love these cards. They speak to me. Obviously, being Australian, they just really resonate with me. I see a lot of them, not all of them, but I see a lot of them out and about in the wildlife around my home. Living on 20 acres, we get an echidna at the bottom of our yard, and magpies and golden finches around. We don't have koalas in Tasmania unless they're in a zoo. They're on the mainland. Kookaburras, I see them in our trees quite often. The galahs, very beautiful. But my favourite card in this deck here, and I'm hoping I haven't gone past it yet, is the one that signifies where I'm from and where I live, and I must have gone past it. I'll have to try and find him again, is the Tasmanian Devil, and I just love the card that represents him. I think it's very beautiful, and it is my favourite, which is why I'd love to share it with you. There he is, the Tasmanian Devil. So he's such a beautiful animal that's quite misunderstood. at times, but definitely he's more ferocious than we think, even though he may look cute and cuddly at times. So this is Wisdom of the Shadow, Oracle for Self-Discovery, Soul Work and Transformation. And this is by Jenny Han and Jessica Rochetti. I use this for my shadow work. I absolutely love it. And again, it's got the dark edging. It's got a darker back to it. It just feels, it puts me in the moment. Even though there's a lot of color on the cards, they just put me in the moment and really get me thinking inwards and progressing that way, which is really, really awesome. Now, I love these cards. The guidebook here has really great information, and they've done a fantastic, phenomenal job. So here we have information about the card. We have contemplations that we can use to contemplate, journal about, whatever. And there is a ritual that we can do embedded for every card that is here, which is truly a wonderful thing. The imagery is incredible. It just, again, it's not my usual style of art, but it just appeals to me. I think the whole, I want to say chaoticness, but it's not really chaotic. I just think that it really appeals to me. There's just something about it, and I really can't pin it. It's very emotional. I mean, I see this one of grief, and I really feel, you know, I feel the depth of grief and longing and that comes with it. I love this face here, greed, and he's got this, you know, greedy looking face. Yeah, there's just something about this artwork, and I absolutely adore it. Definitely appeals to me. Definitely sings to my soul. I suppose that's what it is for me. This artwork sings to my soul, even though my head kind of goes, what is this? You know, why do you like this, Karen? How come it appeals to you? It sings to my soul, and that's all I need. If it sings to my soul and it speaks to it, then that's what I need, and that's how I get some of the best messages and intuitively read the cards the best way. Now, another deck that I love that is also by Jenny Han and Jessica Rochetti is the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. And again, this is a very beautiful deck. It has the lovely, almost like an orange edging on it rather than gold. And it has this beautiful purplish spiraled back with into the gold, which is lovely. And then we have the same kind of art. And again, this deck feels to me a little bit more lighthearted, a bit more outward looking. It feels more, what's the word I want to say? It just feels more energetic. It feels more empowering, I guess, this deck feels to me. And again, there's something about the artwork. It's not the normal type of artwork that I would gravitate towards, but my soul just says, give it here, I want to soak it up. I love this. It gets so much out of it, and it just really feels into it. And that's something I've been going with lately when I'm looking at decks. If my soul, you know, resonates with it, then that's all that matters to me. Where over the years I might have said, you know what, that's a bit ugly, I don't get that. But if it speaks to me in a different way nowadays, I just take it. So this is Messages from the Heart and the Divine Oracle deck. Connect with Earth, Spirit and Self. It's by Ashley River Brandt. And it is a Sounds True deck. So this has a lovely guidebook which has each card and then a ritual for each card, which is really great. Some of them I've done when I've pulled the card, and others I haven't. It depends on how I feel in the moment and what the message it's giving to me as to whether I will do the ritual or not. This is the back of the cards, very simple yet still very elegant and beautiful. When I turn it over, these are the cards. Again, I feel like I'm saying this all the time. This is a deck that normally wouldn't appeal to me. It's not my kind of artwork. It's not my kind of visual imagery that I lean towards, but it just speaks to my soul. It just really speaks to me in a way that I don't really know how to explain, and I'm not sure why. But it is a deck that I really like. And it's grown on me the more that I use it, and it really is beautiful. So the next one is Lucy Cavendish, 55 Messages to Soothe, Comfort, Ease and Unify. It's calming inspirations, and I just love the blue of the deck. So it has these cards with this beautiful blue image, and on the other side it has, oops, that's how to use the cards. On the other side it has these messages for you. So I really love this deck. It's one that I will use when I feel the need for some kind of in-depth information. So usually it's a deck that I don't pick to use. Usually it's a deck that picks me. So quite often when I'm doing a reading, or I'm trying to choose what kind of deck I might use for my reading, I tend to be very intuitive, and I've got all my decks on display in bookcases and things, and I will, you know, look at them all and run my hand along them until one kind of jumps out at me and says, this is the one you need to use today. So this is when I will tend to use this one, and I will pick a card. This one says, you are your greatest love. Calm comes from knowing your self-love is strong. It is that unconditional love for yourself that sustains you, that finds a way, that does not give up on you. Love thyself, let that be your law. So I really love the messages that they give, and I will write them in my diary, and then I will often reflect or meditate on the message that's come through, which I find is really, really great. So the next deck I have is a Denise Linn. I have quite a few of Denise's decks. I really like Denise, and I love the decks that she has. This is the Sacred Forest Oracle. It's 52 cards to open energy portals of a higher dimension. It has this beautiful guidebook here. And it has all the information in here, which is really good. And then it has these cards in here. Now, the back of the cards all look like this, which is great. Not my favourite back, I have to admit, but you know, it's fit for purpose. But being Sacred Forest, I would have thought, even though it's got the forest down here, I thought it might have had a bit more of a foresty image and feel to it, rather than what is more an oversight of the forest, I guess, but still very beautiful. These are the actual cards here, which I like. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is the deck that you have, for each card you have a meditation that's available to be downloaded from online to use whichever card you draw, which is, I thought was a novelty when I first read it and seen it, but I have actually gone to the website and downloaded the meditations that come along with these cards, and I really enjoy them. So it's definitely adds a different depth to the cards, and adds a lot of value. So definitely, if you get this, it's worth going and getting them and downloading them. So yeah, 53 guided meditations to help you connect with the frequency of each card. But a really lovely deck, as I find all of Denise Linn's decks are that I have in my collection. And there's a few more I'd love to have in my collection. So this is Moonology Manifestation Oracle cards by Yasmin Boland, artwork by Laurie Menner. I'm obsessed with the moon. I work with the moon, I love the moon, I'm obsessed with the moon, and I was really excited to get these cards, but the longer I've had them, the less I use them. I don't know what it is. I mean, they've got that beautiful purple color that I like. It's just gorgeous. It's got a really great guidebook with it. The backs of the cards are really, really pretty, and the cards themselves I think are very pretty. But it's just not a deck that I gravitate towards like I really thought I would. So it's one that I probably would have to force myself to pick up and use, which is not the way I like to work with my cards. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the deck. I just have to find, I love it, but I just have to find a way, excuse me, I just have to find a way to be able to make it more user-friendly for me in what I do and how I wish to work with my oracle cards and things. So, but visually it's a very, very beautiful deck. So the next one I have is a Denise Lynn one, Sacred Traveller Oracle cards, that purple colour again. Love it, guys. I definitely gravitate towards it. The backs of the cards look like this. Really pretty. I think it's really pretty. The front of the cards, they look like this. Now, I'm not a lover of cards that have borders on them, but it really appeals to me here in these cards. I think the fact that it's the purple colour, if I'm going to be honest, is something that I really enjoy. And I have to say, this card here, Finding Sanctuary, Opening to Your Spiritual Source. When I was trying to find a name for my business and for my channel, I was like, what do I need? What do I call it? How do I, what is it that's there? And I actually picked up this deck by Denise Lynn, and I was like, come on, guys, give me an answer. Help me. Please help me, Where do I go? How do I find a name? Whatever. And I pulled this card, Finding Sanctuary, Opening to Your Spiritual Source. And I was like, Karen, that's exactly what you've been doing. That's what you are doing. That's it. So the name that I originally had, I put to one side, and I was like, Finding Sanctuary. That's what it is. I want to find sanctuary. I want to help people find their sanctuary, and I want to be able to continue this beautiful journey. So thanks, Denise Lynn. This is how I got the name for my channel and for my business, and it's definitely a beautiful inspiration and a beautiful deck to use. So this is the Divine Beloved Oracle cards by Tosha Silva, and their illustrations by Lasha Mutual. And it's 52 deck of Change Me prayers. Now I do have the original Change Me prayers deck somewhere, and if I can find it, I will show you the two of them side by side at some point in time. So this is the back of the decks, and I really don't like the back of this deck at all. I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't find it appealing at all. And I don't know why, because I love colourful decks, but this doesn't appeal to me at all. It really doesn't. But anyway, these are the actual cards, which do appeal to me and I do like. So we have the word up here like discernment, trusting your plan, and then down here it says grant me discernment and detachment when they're needed most. May I honour my feelings deeply, then fully let go, trusting your plan. So intuition, God finds a way. Now some people may be offended by the word God. I just look and go, okay, God, universe, higher power, whatever it is that it means for you is how I choose to link into this card. So I don't use the word God, but the card reads intuition, God finds a way. I take that as the universe. Intuition, the universe finds a way. Change me, divine beloved, into one who can offer all major decisions to you. Let me trust you're always guiding me in the right directions. May I always remember that if something is meant to be out of my way, God finds a way. So I take that again as out of my way, the universe finds a way. And that's how I work with these cards. I think that the messages that these cards deliver are so beautiful, and for me, they really fit with the things that I'm interested in and the way I like to work with things, that I can overlook the word God and I can, translate that into the universe, higher power, whatever it is that I wish to focus on. So that may be something that others find confrontational or stop them from using this deck, but the way that I choose to use it, it fits in fine. Next is Colette Baron Reed's illustrations by Jenna Della Grattaglia, I believe it's pronounced. Probably said that really bad, and I apologise if I have. 68 card deck and guidebook, the Spirit Animals Oracle. Now, I have quite a number of animal oracles, and I really love them. I love animals. Nature, animals, and photography are my absolute passions. And the moon, absolutely the moon. So this is a really great guidebook. Most of Colette Baron Reid's are. They have a lot of information in them. They're usually very thick, and they're definitely well put together. And the artwork in here is incredible. I love the backs. They're simple, and yet to me they're quite engaging. And these cards, I love them. Koala Spirit. Being an Aussie, I absolutely adore this card. It's one of my favourites in this deck. But as you can see, the cards are very bright. They're very colourful. They're a style all their own, which is one that I do enjoy. I think they have a lot of beauty in them, and I do love them. So this isn't... even though I do have this deck and I love this deck, this isn't my first go-to deck when I'm looking for an animal deck. And I don't know why. I would probably get a lot more out of it if I chose to use it a lot more. My favourite deck to go to is the one that I showed you not so long ago, which, where did it go? Is this one here. The Wild Wisdom Australia deck. That is my go-to animal deck at the moment, but this one is certainly, definitely a beautiful deck too. These are Akmal Prittman Let Go cards. These are beautiful, and I love what they offer. Again, they're that Hawaiian style imagery. So one side of the cards has a different image, and the other side of the cards has a message. And they're all about letting go. So I love using these when I feel like I'm stuck and I don't know how to move forward. They help me to be able to focus on letting go, and they really do help me focus and help me work on it, and I find them invaluable. And even though it's such a little deck, I use it a lot. I use this deck every week, I reckon, in my life. I just love it. So again, because of different images on one side and words on the other, I don't look at them when I shuffle them, and when I pull a card, I will just pull a card and take the message as it is. This one here, you can see the picture, and then over here the message is, let go of fear through meditation, purify yourself so you are a magnet for your true heart's desires. So really beautiful messages. I do like Akmal Prittman's decks and her work. So next is Wisdom of the Oracle, divination cards. Again, a Colette Baron Reid deck, 52 card deck and guidebook. And again, we have a really sturdy and robust guidebook here. Certainly gives you everything you need and more. What I really like about Colette Baron Reid's guidebooks is she has really great information in here, but her cards are designed to be read both upright and reverse, which is what I love. I think she calls it protected. Protection, in protection mode. But yeah, upright and reverse, which is lovely. And these are the backs of the cards. And these are the fronts of the cards. Not a lover of the white borders, I have to admit. I would rather the image went all the way to the edge. But look, it's not that bad. It doesn't take away from the images too greatly, I don't think. But definitely, I would prefer it without the border. But beautiful cards. Colette Baron Reid's cards always are. They're really beautiful cards. Now this one here, I've only recently reacquired this one. I did have the version earlier, and somehow, I've lived in so many houses, it's not funny. Somehow over the years I lost it, and I've only got the book. So I have 2 copies of the book, The Oracle of the Dreamtime by Donny Hackerson. And the book is really, it's hugely in-depth. It's incredible. And the way you read this oracle is very different to normal oracle readings. As you can see here, the 12-month spread, they're round cards, so they read across like this. It really is, it's a really beautiful deck to work with. But it is a deck that, because it's so involved, I don't use often enough. I really probably should link back into it, especially coming towards the end of the year. I can maybe do a 12-month reading with this deck again, but it's really beautiful. So these are the actual cards here. So the backs of them all like this, pretty boring. And then the front of them are like this. So beautiful. It really appeals to me. I really do love it. So when you're doing a reading and you're pulling out these cards, they would obviously sit like this to be able to get the reading. So, and depending, they can be read in upright or reverse as well. If this is obviously reverse and this is upright, you can read the cards. And they flow on. So, I mean, all decks do generally when you're doing a reading, but these ones, depending on which cards they come with, it can significantly impact a reading. So very beautiful. Really great guidebook, really big. Oh, and this is, I was just trying to think, what year was this published? This one's definitely out of print. You can't get it anymore. But this is a, what year was this published? Must say here somewhere. 1998 was when this was published. And like I said, I did have, I've only recently required this, but I did have it originally, and it would have been around that time. And I just have the book of it now. Where is it? There you go. There's the other book that I have, because I lost the cards in the box. So I've got two books now for this, but there's the one set of cards. So I was really pleased when I was able to get that again.